Previously on In Times Like These.
Because I'm trying to process that I might never see my son again.
You heard it right, Nichelle. My dad's back in my life.
What made him come back after all these years?
That ain't nothing you need to be concerned about.
Edie, please. She's right. It's too much for me to get into with you.
I've noticed you've been on the phone a lot lately, Nichelle.
It's great to see you on such a beautiful day, Gianni.
Give me back what you stole from my family.
What is it you needed to speak with me about, Dee Dee?
I'm upset with your friend.
What has Yvette done to you?
It's about what her family is doing to Zeke and forcing him to give up his parental rights.
You finally gonna tell me what's been bothering you, Zeke?
It's the Mitchells. They're trying to erase me from Gabriel's life for good.
I work at the hotel, Mom. I'm always on my phone.
Yeah, but I usually don't see you smiling on your phone like you just did.
Do you want me to be miserable while I'm working?
Of course not. What I'm trying to say is that I miss seeing you smile like this. I don't think I've seen you this happy ever since you ended your relationship with Zeke.
Never once stole anything from your family, Gianni.
These games might work with Heidi, but they won't work with me. You forced her to sign a portion of her Russo Jewelers shares over to you.
Which must mean that she also told you that I feel like I'm owed a portion of your shares as well. And I just want to correct you. I never forced Heidi.
Let me remind you that I'm not someone to be played with.
What are you talking about? So you're saying Yvette never told you anything about this? This is the first time I'm hearing about it, Dee Dee. Now that you know, do you think the Mitchells are doing the right thing, Cosette?
Telling me that Udell is asking you to sign away all of your parental rights? What made him come to that decision?
He heard that my dad is back in Valley Park, and I guess he feels threatened by that.
From what it sounds like, their issue is with Virgil and not with you.
Nah, Quinn. This is the excuse they need to keep me out of Gabriel's life for good. Ever since they found out I was the one who got Yvette pregnant, they never saw me as worthy to be a father to their grandson.
Maybe I'm smiling like this because I finally found healing.
And did a certain someone help you reach this point in your life?
I reconnected with someone I knew from high school.
Really? Who? He was a senior when I was a freshman, so we weren't really close. His name is Cliff, and he's a med student who reached out after Alan was interviewed by the blogger.
I'm glad to hear that you're making new friends. But do you think it's a good idea to be spending so much time with someone you barely even know?
Do your worst. But let me remind you that there are a number of witnesses downstairs in this tavern. Maybe we can come up with a compromise.
Heidi already tried that, Gianni. My requests are very clear and fair. I already have a portion of her shares, and I feel like I'm entitled to a portion of yours.
Over my dead body.
Pretty sure you're aware that if you reject this request, then you're risking spending the rest of your days in a prison cell.
Gabriel is Yvette's son, Dee Dee. I'm not getting involved.
Yvette is your friend. She'll listen to you.
What exactly do you want me to do?
Ain't it clear, JJ? I want you to speak with her so that she can convince her parents to back off.
Just take a moment and think about it, Zeke. Can't you consider that Udell is trying to do what's in Gabriel's best interest?
By cutting me out of his life for good? I'm sick of hearing that point being made.
Ever since Gabriel was born, you allowed him to be raised by the Mitchells. Signing away your parental rights won't be too different.
Except they won't ever let me see my son again. They can try all they want, but I ain't gonna make it easy for them.
I'm beginning to get to know him more the more we talk, Mom. Our conversations have been great. Okay, now answer me this. Do you think this friendship will turn into something more?
You were run over years ago, Finnegan. Whoever did that to you made sure no evidence would lead back.
Family just got out of yet another scandal. Are you really willing to put your family through another one?
I think it's time for you to get your annual checkup, because I don't think you're hearing me.
You will not get anything else from my family's company. Most of all, I'm getting back the shares you stole.
Have you forgotten that you work at Confidence Designs? What would Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell say about you getting involved in this?
I ain't getting involved, JJ. You are.
And if you decide to get involved, then you'll be helping a little boy keep both of his parents in his life.
What do you plan to do, Zeke?
Alright, I'll admit it. I don't got a plan.
Then let's use our heads to see how we can move forward the smart way. It sounds like all you need to do is cut ties with Virgil.
You know it ain't that easy, Quinn. Especially since he's staying at Jackie's house with Bernice and Kimmy.
He's doing what?
Previously on In Times Like These.
Thankfully, Dee Dee is getting info on Virgil for me. Now that Udell is distracted by that low-class criminal, it's the perfect opportunity to get my company back.
What would Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell say about you getting involved in this?
I ain't getting involved, JJ. You are. And if you decide to get involved, then you'll be helping a little boy keep both of his parents in his life.
You were run over years ago, Finnegan. Whoever did that to you made sure no evidence would lead back.
Family just got out of yet another scandal. Are you really willing to put your family through another one?
I think it's time for you to get your annual checkup, because I don't think you're hearing me.
You will not get anything else from my family's company. Most of all, I'm getting back the shares you stole.
It sounds like all you need to do is cut ties with Virgil.
You know it ain't that easy, Quinn. Especially since he's staying at Jackie's house with Bernice and Kimmy.
He's doing what?
It's an unexpected visit.
I'm gonna get to the point. How come you can't bring yourself to learn from your bad choices?
What is it that you needed to speak with us about, Wanda?
I'm here with a business offer. What sort of business offer? How would you two like to buy out Udell's shares to Confidence Designs?
Is everything okay, JJ?
That's why I'm calling you. Dee Dee told me about your parents trying to get Zeke to give up his parental rights.
Haven't we said everything we needed to say to each other, Finnegan?
Clearly we haven't, since that's why I'm here. Before Gianni tells you, I wanted you to know that he just paid me a visit.
What did I do this time?
Allowing Virgil to stay in this house.
What was I supposed to do, Quinn? Let him be homeless?
I know you haven't forgotten how resourceful Virgil is. He would have been perfectly fine. What makes you think it would be okay for him to stay in the same house as your best friend's daughter?
Why would you want us to buy out your husband's shares? He's keeping your company within your family?
Allowing Udell to be the majority shareholder was a terrible mistake.
Can you admit that cheating on him was a mistake as well? I doubt he'd have the shares to begin with if you had just been faithful.
You both know Elvira and I were supposed to run Confidence Designs together. This is your chance to help carry on your daughter's legacy and keep Udell from running it into the ground.
Why can't that cousin of yours mind the business that pays her?
That's why I really struggled with calling you about this, Yvette.
Let me guess. Dee Dee wanted you to reach out to me to see if I could convince my parents to change their minds.
Johnny sign over a portion of his shares to you?
What do you think, Heidi?
By the sound of it, I think my husband made it clear that you wouldn't be getting any more Russo Jewelers shares anytime soon, just like I told you would end up happening.
As if I'm gonna give up. Like I said, I'm extending the deadline. Because once Gianni faces charges, your position as district attorney will be at risk.
If you're worried about the opinions, then you need to remember that Virgil paid off what he owed.
And what about the next time Virgil gets himself in trouble? Kimmy barely knows the man.
Which is why Kimmy ain't bothered about Virgil. In fact, she wants to be alone all the time after Lyric threw acid at her.
That house isn't big enough for Kimmy to avoid Virgil all the time. Kids aren't safe around him.
When you say him, do you mean me?
Don't you think you're overreacting just a bit? I know my husband.
And your husband would know that he'd lose millions of dollars if he ran Confidence Designs into the ground.
Mitchell Law will always be his priority, and he won't be content until he tears down everything I've built.
Exactly, Wanda. You built Confidence Designs, not Elvira. You come to us for help, but yet you couldn't come to us when you found out what Devante did to my daughter.
On top of that, you came after our grandson Maximilian when your daughter falsely accused him. Using my dead daughter to win this battle against your husband doesn't sit right with me.
Not wrong, Yvette. Dee Dee definitely wants you to change your parents' minds. Well, Gabriel is my son, so what your cousin wants doesn't matter. And Gabriel is also Zeke's son. From the sound of it, Zeke isn't really too happy about it. I'm not concerned about Zeke's feelings either. What do you want, Yvette? Do you really want Gabriel to grow up without his dad?
My career would only be in true jeopardy if Gianni is convicted of anything. Think about it, Finnegan. If you go forward with pressing charges, Valley Park might just see it as you having a vendetta against me for pressing charges against you.
If you thought that was a possibility, then you wouldn't have signed over some of your shares to me to begin with.
Because you didn't initially tell me about your plans to get Gianni's shares, which are impossible to gain.
Well, those shares will be useless once he ends up in prison.
You know good and well that I'm talking about you, Virgil.
This ain't your house, Quinn, which means that you ain't got a say about who gets to stay here.
I'm warning you, Virgil. Stay away from Kimmy.
What was that about?
You know your daughter's always tripping.
Can you tell me when you're available to meet with me, Vivian? I've got a unique business opportunity for you.
When I gave Zeke the chance to cut ties with his parents, he refused, JJ.
Well, Zeke is expressing his frustrations to Dee Dee. Are you actually willing to go to court?
I'm willing to do anything to keep my son safe.
Don't you realize that you'll be exposed as a blackmailer if you end up taking Johnny to court?
And the board will realize that you didn't report me, which could cost you your legal license, Heidi. My suggestion is that you have a long talk with your husband to prevent any damage.
Thank you for answering, Pacho. I'm ready to proceed with our plans regarding the Dorvals.
Previously on In Times Like These.
This ain't your house, Quinn, which means that you ain't got a say about who gets to stay here.
I'm warning you, Virgil. Stay away from Kimmy.
What was that about?
You know your daughter's always tripping.
Can you tell me when you're available to meet with me, Vivian? I've got a unique business opportunity for you.
Thank you for answering, Pacho. I'm ready to proceed with our plans regarding the Dorvals.
As promised, everything is set up to make sure millions of dollars enter your pockets.
What's bothering you, Quinlan?
What do you think?
Virgil didn't try to approach you again, did he?
Not quite. I just found out that Jackie's got Virgil staying at her house, which puts Kimmy in danger.
Thank you for agreeing to meet with me, Vivian.
Of course. I'm eager to hear about this business opportunity you got for me.
How would you like to take over another company?
Is everything okay, Shelley?
No, Jeremiah, everything isn't okay. Because of Finnegan, the whole world believes that I've lost my mind.
For your sake, Virgil, I really hope that this app you created doesn't turn out to be a flop.
I wouldn't have come up with the idea if I thought it was going to make us both lose money.
You're certain that people won't pull out of this app because it doesn't offer anything real to people?
That's exactly what's going to keep people hooked, Wade. This app feeds off of people's fantasies.
I understand that you're worried, but try to stay positive.
How am I supposed to do that, Ben? We both know what sort of person Virgil is, and all I can think about is how he'll try to groom Kimmy.
He just got out of a toxic relationship. Virgil won't succeed in hurting her if that's his goal.
Except the fact that Kimmy just got out of a controlling relationship is exactly what he'd use to manipulate her.
I'm assuming that you're talking about Confidence Designs.
That's correct.
Guess you're unhappy with the way your husband is running the company?
Exactly. At the moment, he's distracted with personal matters, and I see this as the perfect opportunity to get my company back.
What do I get out of this, Wanda?
What are you talking about?
Finnegan was just interviewed on Global News Press, suggesting that my recent TikTok video is a result of me having mental issues after waking up from the coma. He even mentioned my outburst at the courthouse.
I can't say that I'm surprised Finnegan would take this route, but it could be worse.
This is more serious than you think, Jeremiah. It only confirms that Finnegan will always try to get Pacho to do his bidding.
Only time will tell if this vision of yours brings in the sort of money you're promising me.
It won't only give you a return on your investment, but it's gonna blow the other apps out of the water.
Try not to put your foot in your mouth, especially when you still have other responsibilities.
You talking about Quinn?
Glad you remembered. Does that mean you're making sure she stays off of my back?
You've mentioned before that since the acid attack, Kimmy just wants to stay in her room.
And when I attempted to shield myself from Virgil, he'd forcibly enter my room, Ben.
Your concerns are valid, Quinlan. And there's one way we can keep Kimmy safe.
I'm not reporting Virgil for what he did to me all those years ago.
I'm not saying that. One call to CPS can get Kimmy out of the house without you explaining what Virgil did to you.
This will benefit you by broadening your horizons as a young businesswoman.
Plus, Confidence Designs fits you well.
Do you see that my outfit is on point?
Not only that, Vivian, but I was supposed to run this company with Elvira. Have you heard that Elvira and I plan to co-own the company before her life was taken?
That's what I've been told.
And here's an opportunity to help carry on the legacy she left behind.
It's not something I can deny, Shelley, but your video is still out there for people to know your point of view.
Except Pacho has a bigger platform, and the majority of the country could feel like it's a he said, she said situation rather than...
What's your plan now? To find out what Finnegan is controlling Pacho with?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Thank you for answering the door.
To be honest, Wade, she's actually trying to avoid me as much as possible.
You two were never really close.
She never really accepted me as family when I got with her mother.
Well, try. I need you to stay as close as you can to ensure that she doesn't plan on investigating my organization once again.
I know what it's like to be in and out of foster care, Ben. I don't want Kimmy to go through the same thing.
But you can take her in.
That would only make things complicated, Ben. Kimmy and Jackie love each other. She'd want to stay with her mom.
What else can we do then, Quinlan? It's not like we can kick Virgil out of Jackie's house.
No, but I need to keep my influence on Kimmy and convince her to never trust Virgil.
Carrying my late sister's legacy is a really nice thought, Wanda. Does that mean you'll work with me?
How dare you show up to my house after what you said about my wife?
All I said was that she should just get some help for the pain she's feeling. Are you really offended by the concern I've shown?
Don't treat us like fools, Finnegan. We know that you're only trying to cover up your crimes.
We can go back and forth all day, but I don't have all day. I just wanted to advise you that trouble will only find you if you refuse to drop this vendetta you have against me.
Previously on In Times Like These. Carrying my late sister's legacy is a really nice thought, Wanda. Does that mean you'll work with me?
Can't you consider that Udell is trying to do what's in Gabriel's best interest?
By cutting me out of his life for good? I'm sick of hearing that point being made.
Ever since Gabriel was born, you allowed him to be raised by the Mitchells. Signing away your parental rights won't be too different.
Except they won't ever let me see my son again. They can try all they want, but I ain't gonna make it easy for them.
Don't you realize that you'll be exposed as a blackmailer if you end up taking Johnny to court?
And the board will realize that you didn't report me, which could cost you your legal license, Heidi. My suggestion is that you have a long talk with your husband to prevent any damage.
How dare you show up to my house after what you said about my wife?
All I said was that she should just get some help for the pain she's feeling. Are you really offended by the concern I've shown?
Don't treat us like fools, Finnegan. We know that you're only trying to cover up your crimes.
We can go back and forth all day, but I don't have all day. I just wanted to advise you that trouble will only find you if you refuse to drop this vendetta you have against me.
Thank you for the lemonade, Austin.
You're welcome, Mrs. Dorval.
Hopefully, Finnegan's latest shenanigans didn't ruin your Good Friday.
What are you doing here, Finnegan?
I can ask you the same thing. I thought you would have allowed your employees to take off this Easter weekend.
You have no business here. That's where you're wrong. As a shareholder, I do in fact have every right to be here as you do.
What can I do for you, Miss Jones?
I'm actually here to help you out, Mr. Mitchell.
Help me how?
How would you like to sell your share of Confidence Designs over to me?
I feel really special that you're taking the time in your busy day to visit your old man.
This ain't a friendly visit. If you don't plan to stay in Valley Park for good, then you need to leave now.
Unexpected visit from Finnegan the other day didn't make things any better, Shirley.
What exactly happened?
He pretty much warned Jeremiah and I that it wouldn't end well for us if we continued to pursue justice.
What are you going to do now, Shelley?
I'll need to figure out what Finnegan has over Pacho. And I think you can help me with that.
What on earth are you talking about?
You are getting older, so it might take you a while to process such important information.
I heard you loud and clear, Finnegan. How could you have possibly obtained shares to my company?
It's thanks to your daughter-in-law. And soon, Gianni will be signing a portion of his shares over to me.
Why would Heidi sign her shares over to you? Most of all, what makes you think Gianni would ever allow you to convince him to give up any of his shares?
Heidi signed over her shares to protect Gianni. And Gianni will have to realize that if he doesn't provide me with my request, then he'll end up in a prison cell.
What gave you the idea that I'm willing to sell it all?
You're running two separate companies. It must be exhausting.
Which is why Wanda is running Confidence Designs while I own it. She wouldn't be happy working under another boss.
With me as her boss, I'm sure she'd be ecstatic.
Came back to town to be with my family, Zeke. You know that.
How do I know? Why should I believe you after you were gone for all these years?
I thought we already been over this. Why are you coming at me like this?
Because you being in town affects my son's future.
How do you think I'd be able to figure out what Finnegan has over Pacho? Pacho is dating your daughter.
Before you say anything else, I know Vivian. She wouldn't share that sort of information with me.
Even though she's an adult, you're still her mother. You still have more influence than you think. Do you think you can at least try?
What sort of crime would Gianni have committed?
Do you remember when I was run over all those years ago?
You can't possibly believe that Gianni had anything to do with that.
I'm not sure if you honestly didn't know, or you're playing dumb with me.
But it's true. Otherwise, Heidi would have never signed over a portion of her shares to me, Lorenzo. And if your son refuses to do the same, then your family will once again be in the public eye for unwanted reasons.
Why do you think Wanda would be happy to work under you, Vivian?
For starters, I'm a woman. Second of all, I'm aware that she had plans to start Confidence Designs with my late sister.
But you and Elvira are nothing alike.
That's what I've been told. But since I never got the chance to know her, I feel like working at Confidence Designs will help carry on her legacy.
What brought upon this desire to do something like this? Even though I didn't get the chance to meet Gabriel, I do care about him.
I'm serious, Dad. I'm serious about not doing to my son what you did to me.
What's keeping you from being in his life?
He's being raised by the Mitchells, and they can keep him away from me.
They really can't. Your blood runs through that boy's veins.
Except my name ain't on his birth certificate, which is what the Mitchells will use to take away my parental and visitation rights.
They're gonna do what?
I don't know, Shelley. To be honest, I'm not sure if I even want to know what Vivian and Pacho are hiding. But if we know, then we can help them both.
What do you want with my company, Finnegan? I have no desire to take it from you, Lorenzo. I'm already busy with the rusty kettle. I just feel like your family owes me for almost ending my life and almost putting me in prison. I really hope you can convince your son to do the right thing.
After stepping down as CEO of Russo Jewelers, it gave me months to think about what more I'd like to do with my life.
You've got a whole life ahead of you while your father isn't getting any younger.
True, but my father's currently CEO and I'd like to challenge myself as a young businesswoman. Would you really want to rob Elvira's younger sister of this opportunity?
Why am I now just hearing about this, Zeke?
'Cause there ain't nothing you can do about it, Mom.
There's plenty we can do. We can fight for your son. We might not got the money for a good lawyer, but your sister does.
Nah, I ain't trying to take advantage of the success Quinlan's got.
It ain't taking advantage when your family needs help. Do you really want to risk losing Gabriel forever?